I respect people who are like, I don't share my kids on social media. I keep my kids' private life private. Bro, that's your choice. But why come at the moms who don't make that choice?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Family channels have been on the rise over the past decade, and so has the wave of criticism for many of them.
I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
Numerous medical professionals have felt that he needed a different fit.
Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Look at my hair.
No.
Good thing I don't have to. No, I'm going to say it. Good thing I don't have to be on camera today.
Okay.
God.
We put things on the internet that should not be there. We did things that we should not do.
This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video.
While many family channels at this point have made clear examples of what not to be like on social media, a plethora of them still seem to be popping up every day, each being worse than what came before them.
I'm sorry, but I can't spend $35 on a toddler jacket.
Anyway, many family channels don't really care about showing off their children to potentially thousands or millions of strangers. They seem to find it very easy to use their children to gain a large audience online and then use that to their advantage, regardless of whether or not it compromises their child's safety and well-being.
If you have real evidence, please contact me.
While I have already discussed many of these awful channels, today we're going to be taking a look at another family vlogging channel on TikTok that's currently receiving a lot of backlash. This time it's on TikTok as an account known as the Resilient Jenkins. A family with 4 children and another on the way, a father who seems to have unstable priorities, and a mother who openly admitted to wanting fame on TikTok so she can convince her husband to give her more babies, with her ultimate goal of having 7 children.
If this is going to be how it continues to be, we're going to make money through social media, or that's just going to be like the livelihood. It's entertainment, which that's how America's always been. That's how the world is.
Now at first, especially compared to some family vloggers we've discussed on this channel, this might not sound too bad. Maybe even wholesome for people who desire large families. But the catch is that these parents have received significant backlash on TikTok due to wanting that many kids in their current living situation. The deeper you fall down this rabbit hole, the worse it gets, and the more understandable that backlash becomes. Before we continue, I have 2 big disclaimers, and also yes, one of my fingernails fell off, but that's not one of them. Number 1 is that this family had many claims of CPS already being called on them. I do not know what the future with this family will be, but what I want to say is that please do not take what is presented in this video or any video published online discussing the situation and harass anybody involved. Do not send any hate, and please do not use any of the information presented today to contact any authority, as it's been made very clear that several calls have already been made at this point, and by doing so, it would basically hold up their lines. Secondly, I want to make it clear, as we'll discuss later, I do not go by the belief that people in poverty are not allowed to have nice things. You could see somebody who is struggling financially and they still may have a phone or a bag or whatever possessions are important to them. I am not here to judge anybody on their financial situations, but what I am here to do is discuss a lot of concerns that many people have already been explaining in the comment sections, in videos, and the criticisms that I personally believe that are within reason, revolving around the Resilient Jenkins' unbalanced priorities as parents. As you will see throughout this video, the parents are enjoying several luxuries while at many points giving their children the bare minimum and blaming it on money. I'll obviously go over this in more depth, but I wanted to say this right off the bat because I completely understand in any average circumstance it would be unfair to judge someone in a financial situation, especially in today's economy. It's just that when you dive deeper into this, it seems less of a financial situation and more about a pattern of unbalanced priorities and being irresponsible. There are a lot of problems that being a little bit more responsible could help. There's a reoccurring pattern of the parents putting their wants over their children's needs. The Resilient Jenkins is a TikTok account with over 195,000 followers at the time of recording this video. It's run by a woman named Steph and her husband Andrew, who have 4 children in their home with another on the way and desires to have even more children.
My kids want to be a part of my videos. They feel like they're on TV. They feel like little celebrities. And they're being little celebrities in a safe space instead of like Nickelodeon.
So, since the children's conditions aren't as bad as children on set of the Nickelodeon productions, that makes everything she's doing okay.
I feel like I'm doing my kids a disservice by not giving them a good start to that. By not giving you like, hey, this is Mitt, Mutt, and Mo. This is their life growing up. And then as they grow up, they're going to want to start their own social medias. And I think it's going to be awesome to have their perspective too. And they'll be like, this is me all grown up. Now I'm going to come prank my mom and take the video on that perspective.
This is the mentality of somebody who has peaked in high school and has not learned anything beyond it. Somebody who has no concept of how social media truly works, nor the consequences of it. Based off of how many times this has already failed with other family vloggers, I can almost guarantee that at some point or another, these children will grow to resent and hate being on camera and social media in general. Especially with rumors already going around that they may allegedly be getting bullied in school over these TikToks. Needless to say, there has been a lot of backlash regarding their lifestyle choices and what they've decided to post on TikTok. Steph made this TikTok page to document their lives living in a one-bedroom apartment with 4 children, again, another on the way, and at least 2, but maybe 3 cats, all while leaving the kids to sleep on foam pads on the floor in the living room and kitchen, while Andrew and Steph take the only bedroom that has a PlayStation 5 and a full-sized bed in it. And yes, they did recently get bunk beds, I believe gifted to them from their public Amazon wish list, but this is something that's been going on for years and only recently changed. This is one of the bigger issues that a lot of people have had regarding this family page because they are allowing their young children to sleep in conditions that may not be the safest while they take the only bedroom, and at the time of recording this still have the only bedroom. Many moms on TikTok have explained why they should be the ones sleeping in the living room and that their kids should have the bedroom, not just for luxury purposes, but also for the children's safety. The biggest concerns that have been mentioned are the fears of these poor kids sleeping in the kitchen, potentially sleeping near dangerous things such as a stove, things that may be in the kitchen cabinets, kitchen knives, cleaning products, what have you, and also being placed right by the front door of their apartment. God forbid if there ever happened to be an intruder, those poor kids would be what that intruder would see first, while the parents would be in their bedroom. Also, while researching the situation, I found a post where she stated this: "One thing me and my hubby agreed on from day one was we didn't want to childproof. We just want to let him explore and learn boundaries through his experiences, and it's honestly been so relaxing and awesome to see him expand his mind so rapidly with no limitations." I don't know what the protocols are for child-proofing homes, but if you're not going to give them a safe bedroom to sleep in, maybe you should at least consider putting locks on your cabinets and any dangerous things that they can get into while they are sleeping in the living room and the kitchen. But let's get into the desire of her wanting even more children as she's about to pop one out fairly soon and expanding this family in this already very cramped home. Again, this is a 1-bedroom apartment. This isn't somebody who had a sudden lifestyle change where this is a new environment for them. This isn't somebody who had an unplanned pregnancy. This is somebody who is actively still trying to have more kids and bring more children into this environment. Why would you want to do that? If you want to have a bigger family, that's absolutely fine and completely up to you, but you definitely need to prioritize the lifestyle that you're going to have and the quality of life you're going to be giving your children, as it's really not fair to be cramping child after child after child in a 1-bedroom apartment and not even giving them their own room. And again, it's not like this is a sudden change. They've been living like this for years. Help a girl out. My hubby said if we can flip our financial position, this doesn't have to be our last baby, and I'm really not ready to stop having babies yet. You prioritize a gaming setup in your PS5 over getting curtains for your apartment, let alone beds, and you want to bring more kids into that environment. Y'all, my hubby said that if I can take our account viral and change our financial situation, he'll hump away and give me as many babies as I want. So help a girl out and share, follow, and help my account so I can make this man a father of 7. Ah, yeah, she wants to be the next 9 passengers. I apologize, that's a low-hanging fruit. In all complete fairness, it does seem like she shows affection for her children more so than somebody like Ruby Frankie, but just because she hasn't done the same thing that this family vlogger did or this family vlogger did doesn't mean that what they're currently doing isn't okay, because at the end of the day, this is still messed up. There are several videos of Steph cleaning out her apartment showing how they flip everything from night to day, and in some of the videos is where you can see the foam pads on the ground while the parents sleep in a comfy bed. Like I said earlier, this has been going on for years. And as I previously mentioned, one good thing is that the resilient Jenkins did eventually get bunk bunk beds, again off of an Amazon wish list that they promoted to their followers. So now the children don't sleep on the floor, but as people have pointed out, the foam pads were still being used instead of mattresses. Also, the bottom layer of this particular bunk bed is basically just a wooden frame with no support underneath, and the mattress pad being placed in the center is technically still being put on the floor. And also that it's placed right next to a rack of onions because they still didn't give them the bedroom, and I guess the bunk beds are placed closer to the kitchen, and why not just put the bed right next to a rack of onions? But first, really quick, being a victim of a very serious injury isn't just a painful experience, but a very stressful one. For example, a teacher was on her way home from work as she was getting off of a highway and heading towards a stoplight. That's when her car was rear-ended by a distracted driver, causing 2 serious injuries, one between her pelvis and her spine, and the other in her neck. These injuries caused issues with stability and pain management and ultimately affected her ability to continue doing her job. When fighting for compensation, she was originally offered $200,000 for her life-altering injuries. But with Morgan & Morgan fighting for her, the case went to trial and they ended up obtaining $2.6 million. If you've ever gotten into an accident, your injury could potentially be worth millions. And Morgan & Morgan has your back if you become their client. While dealing with cases, Morgan & Morgan doesn't just settle for lowball offers. Morgan & Morgan has achieved significant verdicts for victims with life-altering injuries, including over $12 million in Florida, which is 34 times the highest insurance offer, and $26 million in Philly, which is 40 times the highest insurance offer. Being America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan has over 1,000 lawyers working across all 50 states. And the best part is the fee is completely free unless you win your case, meaning no expensive upfront charges coming out of your pocket. Like I've said, if you've ever gotten seriously hurt, your case could be worth millions, and you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. It's so easy to do. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Mimi. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you so much to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring yet another video on today's channel, and with that being said, let's get back into today's topic. For years, the resilient Jenkins has been posting TikToks, and even at points, Steph has expressed entitlement for virality, making posts with her kids in it saying that their account deserves to go viral so that they can afford a better life for their children. At this point, you need to consider other financial options. Which, don't get me wrong, many people make careers for themselves online and become very successful at it. The way that they are going into social media as if it's already a full-time job without establishing a generalized following is a really risky move, especially when you have so many lives to be responsible for. It's not only responsible, but completely essential to be having some other form of income while you're starting out an online business of any kind, because you have no idea what could happen, and it's always good to have a backup plan even if you're a very established online business. For example, in case the app you're making a living off of suddenly gets banned in your country. As I've mentioned, they've posted Amazon wish lists and desires to grow their following in hopes of making this a career while Steph continues to be a stay-at-home mom. Clearly, being a stay-at-home mom is a very taxing and laboring job. It's a 24/7 lifestyle that you don't get to just clock in and out from like your 9 to 5. Daycare is also more expensive than some people's daily incomes, so it also takes away freedoms and choices for at least one parent in many households throughout the United States. This is not uncommon at all, by the way. I want to remind you that the last thing I want to do is make anybody feel ashamed for their financial situations. But again, as we continue, this is not just about financial issues. This is about irresponsible decisions that these parents have made and them prioritizing their wants over their children's needs. Being a parent requires sacrifice, and it requires a lot of it at times, especially when your goal is to have around 7 children. So Drew does seem to have a job, or at least some form of money coming in, while Steph takes on the stay-at-home parenting role. Whatever job he has, it does not seem to be quote-unquote traditional, as he claimed he doesn't currently have a W-2 job and doesn't want a W-2 job unless it's $30 an hour or more. For those of you who are unaware, a W-2 job is your typical 9 to 5 that you get a tax form from every year. That does not mean that if you're self-employed or don't get a W-2 that you don't get taxed or that you don't pay taxes. There are several other forms for taxes. W-2 is just your most common. So in case you're living under a rock, a lot of people have a W-2 job. Some people have W-2 jobs and also non-traditional jobs as side hustles. Some people just have non-traditional jobs. If a non-traditional or self-employed option pays more than a W-2 job, then by all means, have at it. Do the best that you can. More power to you. That's fantastic. But it doesn't seem like that's the case in this situation because it is very evident that they seem to be struggling financially. W-2 jobs seem to be something they make comments about often in their videos, as if they should have a higher social ranking over a non-traditional job for some reason. Like I mentioned earlier, hopefully Drew also knows that even without a W-2, you still have to pay taxes if you're making money. And with this comes a lot of speculation that he doesn't want an average job due to allegedly owing child support to his previous baby mama. After the backlash started coming in and the Resilient Jenkins TikTok started to grow viral, another creator named Nails by Arlita made a 10-minute long TikTok claiming that Andrew is also the father of her child that lives with her, and that Andrew had allegedly walked out of her son's life when he was just 2 years old and does not see or support him, and allegedly dodges child support.
That man that everybody's saying they have two loving parents walked out of his son's life when he was 2. Okay. Hasn't seen his son since he was 5. And that's because I reached out to him to come to his kindergarten graduation. He hasn't paid child support, but he has a PS5. I feel bad for those kids. I literally feel bad for my child's siblings, sad to say, that they have to sleep on the floor. And that man has not changed.
I'm not going to play the full video here, but I will have it linked in the description if you would like to see it, because she does go more into her story. And there's also been a response from the Resilient Jenkins, which I will also link for full context. Please, regarding both of these links, respect everybody's privacy. Do not send any hate or harassment to anybody at all mentioned in this video.
The child support and child. I have the one other child. I've been paying child support via garnishments ever since I can remember. I worked out with W-2 since I was 18, 19.
I'm not very familiar with certain aspects of child custody or even child support, so I had to research what garnishments meant in this context. Garnishment is a legal process for collecting monetary judgment on behalf of the plaintiff from a defendant. Garnishment allows the plaintiff to take money or property of the debtor from the person or institution that holds the property. A similar legal mechanism called execution allows the seizure of money or property held directly by the debtor. This sounds like something that has been handled through court, and as comments were left on the video, it seems that by him saying he paid in garnishments, it implies that he wasn't providing child support on his own and was basically forced by law, if I understand correctly. Let's move on to some more issues involving proper hygiene. I am an animal lover. I have 2 cats and a dog, which if you are a returning viewer, you are probably very aware of that. Obviously, animals are not children, but they do require a lot of care, and they do require compassion. And one of the most important things you can get for your animals is flea and tick medication. Yet for some reason, there seemed to be a flea issue in the house, and they needed to set up flea traps all over the rugs, while also letting their kids sleep on and play on the same rugs. Again, as somebody who loves animals, it's very important that you show compassion for both your pets and your children. And sometimes difficult decisions need to be made for the sake of both. Now, it is possible to have children and have pets, but in this circumstance, cramming 5 children into a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 parents and 2 to 3 cats, that is a lot for a 1-bedroom apartment. In fact, most apartments that I've heard of have a limit to how many pets you can have. Usually it's 2 cats per unit, or maybe 1 dog under a certain weight. Granted, I don't live in the same state as they do. On top of that, a TikTok was made a couple of months ago where Steph was upset with the possibility of having to give up one of her cats because they couldn't afford to treat its skin infection. The reality of being flat broke is knowing you can't do anything about your kid's cat's skin infection rather than rehome the animal to someone more financially able to handle it. Why do I have to take my baby's baby? I really don't want to. I don't know if she ever actually got rid of that cat, but they ended up getting another cat afterwards. And just like that, we have another little critter because daddy couldn't say no to his girls. Did we need another cat? Hell no, but God knew we did. She fits right in here. Additionally, there's also TikToks of her cleaning cat litter. That's also a health risk for pregnancy. It raises the risk of something called toxoplasmosis, I hope I'm saying that right, which according to Google is a parasitic disease that can affect those who are pregnant and the fetuses as well. Her response, or whatever this is, says, point of view, you're pregnant with superior genetics that fight through terrain of Makoko, and more so you don't let fear hold you back from doing normal tasks. And in the description she stated, this honestly isn't meant to ruffle anyone's feathers. It's a post giving respect to how incredible my hubby's genetics are. He makes some of the strongest, most resilient babies. Of course I play my role. Side note, I never discredit the strength and amazing abilities of my two daughters from my previous baby dad. They are unstoppable, strong little ladies that haven't let genetics or circumstance hold them back. But wait, it gets worse. Apparently, there was also a lice infestation that they have dealt with for months and have documented on their TikTok page. The description reads, I'm pretty sure this is why people cut their hair when they have lice. We fought the damn buggers for months, almost the whole summer. The kids brought it home from school. But boy is our hair showing some effects from using that lice comb. I always made sure everyone's hair was oiled, wet, or conditioned before using the comb, but especially with longer hair, it still takes good beating. Lice is a common thing. I've never had it as a kid, but I've known other people who have. It could be really hard to get rid of, but you need more than just a comb and some oils to get it out. There was no mention of lice shampoo or trying to change their sheets. It just seems like it was able to continue due to the lack of effort, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Because what do you mean you've had lice in your home for months and months on top of having a flea infestation, letting your kids sit on the floor with the fleas? A lot of people have left tons of comments criticizing their choices, hygiene, and lifestyle. This is obviously very unrealistic to continue, and some have even speculated online that they may be breaking apartment rules in their state for having so many live in a one-bedroom. At the end of the day, the only thing that seems resilient is their ability to continue posting on TikTok while ignoring all of these criticisms. They both have made responses on different occasions, but it often involves shaming others for judging their family. So the thing is, she's making all of this information public, and she's even admitted prior that she knew that she would get backlash from some of this. Obviously, nobody is a perfect parent. Everybody goes through situations at points where they need a little bit of help. But if you have hundreds of thousands of people commenting on your videos, telling you that the things you are doing are pretty messed up, and hundreds of people that are extremely concerned that something is wrong, this is just my common sense. Maybe there's a reason why. Also, it's bad enough to milk your kids for clout, but to keep pumping them out in an almost unlivable environment for hopes of gaining more clout is wild. Again, this family vlogger may not be as vindictive as somebody like Ruby Frankie. She may not show open resentment towards her children like Nurse Hannah. But her and her husband are making very irresponsible decisions, and they are ultimately affecting their children's lives in a very negative way. And I can only see this getting worse as they grow older and as they bring more children into this world, into that apartment. As I've stated earlier, I don't subscribe to the idea that just because somebody's going through a financial hardship that they cannot have nice things or that they need to get rid of all of their things. But in this situation, a few sacrifices could be made to better their children's lives. As many people have stated before, a good start would be maybe selling the PlayStation 5, and I know that's a source of entertainment that you probably don't want to let go, but you have two kids that have been sleeping on the floor, not even on mattresses, but on foam pads, and you still have them sleeping on foam pads despite somebody getting you a bunk bed for them. You have blankets up instead of curtains. Sell the PS5 and get a few things, or sell your expensive Dyson hairdryer and maybe get a few things for your kids. Maybe a couple mattresses, maybe some curtains, maybe some clothes and shoes for them, maybe some carpet stuff for your flea infestation. Relying on Amazon wishlist gifts to continuously support your children is not sustainable, by the way. Wishlist items are nice for an audience to buy little things to support you if you want to do a public one, or if somebody has a wedding or baby shower registry. Those are usually things people make wish lists for, but you shouldn't constantly be adding necessities on there hoping hoping that some random stranger will buy them for your kids, because that is not a guaranteed form of obtaining necessities, or even large items such as bunk beds. I don't know how to explain in any more detail how unreliable and unintelligent it is to depend on random strangers buying your kids shoes and stuff that you should be providing yourself if you're making the active choice to have children. I wanted to make this video longer, but my patience has reached its limit. I know I've talked about a lot of serious issues with other family channels before, and it's getting extraordinarily frustrating to see family after family after family exposing themselves and showing how little they care for their children and how easily they are willing to give up their child's privacy and dignities for some attention online. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I hope you had a fantastic New Year's. The beginning of 2025 has been absolutely pure concentrated chaos on my end, but I hope it's doing better on yours. I will see you very, very soon in the next video. See you later.